but the voice of truth tells me a different story. I will choose to listen and believe the voice of truth.
So, welcome guys. Welcome to the Advanced Healthcare class for August. And what we're going to be talking about tonight is 5 ways to strengthen your immune system, right? Naturally, holistically, and by working with the nervous system. So the reason why I wanted to do this, about a year ago, I was kind of sitting down, and last year in particular, what was happening is patients were coming in and they were telling me about that they were doing like crazy stuff like flu shots. So you get mercury and aluminum directly in the brain tissue. Now I kind of think there might be a different way, right? Maybe there's a different way to approach that. And so I wanted to have that conversation tonight so that you guys can start doing things to really step outside of your current reality and step into a transformation. So we want the brain communicating with the spinal cord, sending those signals to the organs so life can express. Some of you might be sitting in here and you're like, oh, well, I thought it was just about my food, or I thought it was about how I work out, and I got these six-pack sexy abs, doc. You don't understand. I play tennis weekly. I do volleyball. I do all this stuff. You don't get it. I'm like a stud, and I'm in my 60s, and I have no symptoms. So I got to be healthy. And then we get you scanned. We do this thermal scan, and you're like, oh my God, doc, that is so beautiful. I've never seen something that pretty. The problem is, when we scan you and color comes up, is your body in a state of function or dysfunction? Yeah, your body's in a state of dysfunction. So in order to enroll you in a new possibility that's going to allow you to step outside of your current reality so you don't get the diseases that your parents, your grandparents, your uncle, your aunt, whatever the case might be in your family, the stuff that you're worried about, and the MDs are telling you it's genetics and it's hereditary, in order to step outside of that, you got to be empowered to take ownership of your health and your life. And that's what this office is about. That's what we do here. If you go on the media section of the website, there's a link right on that media page, okay? And there's a new link down there. It's called testimonials. Every week we've been doing a video testimonial for patients that have just had extraordinary results in this office. And there's different levels to that, isn't there? What do I mean by that? Well, a miracle to you may be the fact that you didn't sleep for 10 years and now you're sleeping. I kind of would denote that to be a miracle, right? There's a lady like that. There's Rudy Sandoval, whose cancer is gone. They told him he'd be dead 3 years ago. What did he do? He started coming here. He started coming here. We started working with the power that made the body and heals the body. What else did we do? We had some stuff that he was doing from a lifestyle standpoint at home. But what did we do first? We put the power that made the body right up by the brainstem, the hole-in-one formula. We got that intelligence in his body that was designed to heal us. Everybody in this room has it. But it's possible that it's not working right or effectively. And so you've got dysfunction. And maybe you had that dysfunction going on for years. Do you think when people get cancer that they just like get diagnosed and it's like phase 1? Oh, it's early in the cancer. We caught it early. Do we hear that story very often? What do we most likely hear, Lisa? Stage 4 or 3, right? With my grandfather, that's what happened. It's like, man, you got stage 3 or stage 4. You got 3 months to live. That's why these classes are so important. I'm probably never going to, this is the 3rd Monday night I've done, right? And every other night of the week, we get 30 to 60 people. On a Monday night, there's like a curse on Monday nights. I don't know what it is. No, I seriously don't know what it is. But you guys are here, and that's the most important thing. But I want to transform this community. I want to get the Rudys in here. I want to get the Patty Archibalds, who's another person that gave her video testimonial. Rheumatoid arthritis, 20 out of 10 pain. She was having like bouts of this like 3 times a week. She wouldn't be able to go to work for 4 days after she had a flare-up. 20 out of 10 pain, folks. It's been going on 10 years. Now she maybe has 1 every month and a half. And the bout of pain, that 20 out of 10 pain, is down to like an 8 or a 6. And it's only for half a day. Now, did that change her entire life? Absolutely. Because how was she interacting with her family, her friends, her neighbors, sister, brother, aunt, niece, uncle? How was she interacting with those people when she's subluxated and has all this pain going on? So all that stuff is happening to her, okay? And it's subluxating her way of thinking. It's affecting every facet of her life. Every facet of her life. And so whatever you got going on with your health, if you haven't been checked, we got to get you checked after the talk is over tonight. We got to get your whole family checked. Your brothers, your sisters, your nieces, uncles, your kids. Well, Doc, I don't know why this chiropractic thing, I used to go to a chiropractor and he cracked me. Okay, well, I don't know what that means. I'm not a crackhead. I don't do cracks. I don't know what you're talking about, right? We don't do that. What we do is look at the body. We do something called holistic neurological chiropractic. We're not crackheads around here. We care less if it makes a sound or a cavitation. That's just a release of gas. So I always say it's the only time you can pass gas in public, and it's okay, right? Sometimes that'll happen. Sometimes it won't. But what we're looking for is for these 3 angles in this upper cervical area to be in alignment. We're looking for the first bone, the brainstem bone, the be-all, end-all bone. We're looking for that bone to sit at 31 degrees, look like an airplane taking off. We're looking for the curve that you don't have right now, because you guys, some of you got this weird parrot bird syndrome going on that we're trying to correct. Or if you've never been in here, you've never had it corrected because you never knew it was a problem. We're trying to get that curve at 42 degrees. And then we're trying to get the head over the shoulders at 0 millimeters. So what does that do? It opens up the spinal cord, and according to Harvard research, it allows innate to flow. So the intelligence that makes the heart cells, the lung cells, the tissue cells, the intelligence that allows you to repair a relationship that's damaged for 14 years with your father, your mother, whoever it is. I had a lady named Cynthia Clark that literally after 3 or 4 months of care, 5 months of care, she repaired a relationship with someone in her family that was very close to her, that she loved and cared about. I hadn't spoken to this person in 14 years. And she repaired that relationship. What happened? Does your brain affect the chemicals in your body? And so if you're in sympathetic stress, Doc, I don't have any stress. There's no stress going on, Doc. I'm stress-free. Well, I'm not Jesus and I'm not Gandhi, right? And Anna, right, is a patient here, and she helps me out here and there, right? Dr. Tanya has like nights where she can't get coverage, like tonight, right? And Chevy, they know before I go out and I speak, I'm more neurotic than I usually am, right? So even I have that stuff, and I have to deal with it. Lord, it's okay. The garbage cans aren't perfect right now. The plastic lining around the garbage can, it's a little bit ruffled, right? That's the way Marines are, right? I always say I'm a reformed Marine. So I'm not as neurotic as I was in the 98 to 2002 time frame. Most of you wouldn't have wanted to know me back then. It was a great asset to the federal government, not real good for anybody else, right? It's just one of those things, right? So that being said, I got to deal with my stuff. You get that? When we have emotional stress, though, it affects every part of our body to include our immune system. To include our immune system. Because what state are we in if we're stressed out? Parasympathetic, rest and digest, or sympathetic, fight or flight? You're in fight or flight, right? Do you have to have symptomatology to be in fight or flight? Are you going to have outward symptoms if you're in fight or flight? No. How many people think that 98% of America right now is in fight or flight and they don't know it? Yeah, absolutely, right? And so that stress affects our immune system, which throws off our adrenal glands, which throws off our stomach, which throws off our liver. But this is a circle where anytime this circle or this kind of revolving correlation of systems are impacted, right? Like if we get dysfunction in the stomach that occurs, or if we get dysfunction in the adrenals that occurs, or if we get dysfunction in our liver, eventually that other system, its little neighbor, right? The neighbor next door is going to be impacted or affected. What do we see most often? Well, we see most often that people start getting bloating or they start getting gastric reflux. Or lady today, right, shared with me that she's like, oh, don't worry about it. I've had these digestive problems like 10 years. I just got one of them. But I just got some constipation that I'm going through. But, I only go 1 time per day. How many times do you eat? Well, I eat 3 to 4 times per day. Okay, so you eat 3 to 4 times per day, but you're only going BMs one time per day. And this is not an uncommon thing. How many people do you think out there say the same thing to me? Yeah, all the time, right? And they're like, oh, don't worry about the bloating, man. I've had it 10 years. It's not a big deal. What are you talking about? Only go to the bathroom once. I'm like, well, I go 3 to 4 times, and I'm 38. And that's actually what you're supposed to do, because about 4 hours after you eat, your body's supposed to process what you put in there. If it doesn't, what does it do in the stomach and the large intestine and the gut? It putrefies. Now, what neighbor is going to have to bail the stomach out when that stuff putrefies? Mr. or Mrs. Liver. We don't want to be sexist, right? And then what happens after that? Do you think you would start, if you had some putrefaction and some toxicity in your system, is your body going to get like maybe fatigued? Are you going to get tired in the afternoon? Are you going to be between 1 and 4, just get kind of exhausted? Could you get depressed and anxious? Yeah, all those things. And guess what? You're in fight or flight. You're in fight or flight. Your body's releasing a negative chemical called cortisol. And there's no way that the dopamine and serotonin can balance, right, to put you in that love oxytocin state, which is parasympathetic, when you're fight or flight. If anybody's lost about the fancy words, and I'm not trying to get too fancy, raise your hand, and I'll explain it a different way. Okay, everybody's tracking. Beautiful. So when that's going on, that's going to throw off our entire system. And what do you think happens to our immune system? Is it going to increase or decrease? It's going to be compromised. So then what do we get around August, September, October? It doesn't, and then they call it a season, right? But we all know that the other 365 days out of the year, if A, B, and C lined up, what would you have? The flu. And it doesn't matter what season it is. Your body's not like, oh, it's August to October and they're selling it at Walmart. So now you're in flu season. That's why you got the flu. And now I want you to stay with me for a second. Does it make more sense to work with your body instead of against it? Or now get a shot injected into your body that has this door that opens your brain tissue up to mercury and aluminum, which is a neurotoxin, meaning it's toxic for your brain tissue. They don't even want pregnant women to open a can of tuna and eat it when they're pregnant because of the toxic mercury levels that are in that can of tuna and that are in that fish. So if those are minor percentages and amounts of mercury, then why would it make sense to now inject that into my body? And like somebody was asking about, I did a health hack, which by the way, my health hacks are 10-minute conversations we have on Thursday night. And they start at 7:30. And we're mic'd up now, we're all fancy-pantsy, and we got lights and all that stuff, right? And you guys can ask questions about that. And one of the health hacks, we've got it out there for the entire year. One of the health hacks we did, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, something like that, was on shingles. You know what's in that lovely shot? In addition to that proteoglycol 80, right? And I was trying to remember what it was. The P. It starts with the P. Proteoglycol 80 is there's also something called hamster ovaries and pig gelatin. Now, man, Doc, thanks for telling me that. I just really enjoyed my food, and now you had to tell me that. Why'd you do that? Because we need to understand what we're putting into our bodies. Now, if you don't know anything about anything, you're not eating your dog's poop. I hope you're not anyways. And you darn sure wouldn't want to put that into a shot and then inject it into your body. So pig gelatin and hamster ovaries. Probably not a good idea. Because you think our physiology is like a hamster's or like a pig's? Probably not. Probably not a good idea. You get that? And it's in the bloodstream. And now it's going to the brain. So, when we're talking about keeping our immune system healthy, you have 13 systems in your body. The number one system we're going to be looking at is that brainstem system, which is going to control your immune system. I was looking at research earlier today, and it said that a spinal adjustment that's done specifically according to what you neurologically need, even in just T1 to T5, which is this mid-back area, right? That would be from here to here, right? That initial area that you'll probably hear me when I work with you, I'll call that the respiratory area because the nerves go to the lungs in that area, right? Just from T1 to T5 stimulates your IL-2 cells, which you don't have to know, well, what does that mean, Doc? I don't know what that is. Tell me, right? It's basically one of the white blood cells that's released by the immune system when your nervous system is working properly. You get that? And that's just from a mid-back adjustment, essentially. So if that's happening at the mid-back, do you kind of think if we're working with the brainstem that there's something going on there? Yeah. Absolutely. And it said that a spinal adjustment done specifically in upper cervically at the brainstem for HIV patients, they did a study, and this was in the Journal of Spine, 1993, I believe, and it showed that the CD4 count in these HIV patients increased by 48% when they were under consistent, long-term chiropractic care. But it's got to be specific. If we're going to the crack masters down the road, are they checking diagnostically to see what we need or don't need? Are they looking neurologically? Are they checking for function or dysfunction? Well, doc, I don't understand why I got the miracle in your office, but I've been going to this other guy for 10 years. Because all he did was adjust you where the pain is. Some of you guys get mad at me, you're like, ah. And you do this weird like dance that you do, like John Travolta or something, and you're trying to point to where the pain is. And you think I'm ignoring you because I'm trying to be mean. But I'm just not focused on the pain, I'm focused on what's happening neurologically. That's my sole focus. As a holistic neurological chiropractor, a principal doc, I'm totally concerned about your brainstem. Doc, what about subluxation support and nutrition? What about NET? Those are other techniques we do, but my sole focus is your innate intelligence, your inborn intelligence working in your body. That's my first and foremost goal. When we add in any type of support, because it's called subluxation support, the only reason we're doing that is because I don't want you to turn to a medication. Some of you in here might be taking Advil, and I'm not condemning you. I'm just saying I want to try to get you off that as quick as I can. Because after the 1,000th Advil, ibuprofen, Tylenol, etc. in a lifetime, you increase your chances of kidney cancer by 80%. Does that make sense? So that's why we add in that support. But notice how it's support. It supports what we're already doing. You get that? So some of you, you'll never get a single supplement in this office. You'll never get an NET done. Because you got to understand the principle first before I'm going to add anything in. That's the first thing. And secondly, I want to know that my number one tool, my comparative advantage that I have over any other doctor in this area is working first before we add things in. You wouldn't want me to add things in. Then we'd kind of be guessing, oh, let's just experiment. Add all these things in. That's not specific. That's not clinical. That's not going to help you. And then I've kind of become an MD at that point, a manager of disease, right? The Food and Death Administration, they love those people, right? Because they just kind of follow what they're doing and their guidelines and all that. We don't do that here. We follow their guidelines, but we're not westernized. We're not like all about like symptomatology and stuff. Because I'm more concerned with your life change first, and then the health change is going to happen. You becoming a better father, a better mother, sister, brother, like giver in this community or person. I want you to have that transformation. If your relationship doesn't work with your husband, spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever, I want that to work. That's the most important thing to me. And that only happens when you can step outside into a new reality of who you are and leave the blind spots in your life behind. And I talk about this all the time. Why? Because it's so important. We need to be reminded of it all the time. Because there's people that you pass by every single day that have blind spots, maybe on the verge of killing themselves, or their life's not working. And you could have invited them to a talk tonight, or you could have given them one of these flyers, or you could have edified their mind, or even given them a hug, and maybe they wouldn't have taken their life. That's what we always talk about. When you're feeling something, go into service. When you're having a bad day, go into service. You guys think all the time, we love people here. We definitely, that's why we hug you, for sure. And it balances dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. That's why we hug you. But the other reason why we hug is we're selfish too, right? We hug for us. Because the blessing goes both ways. So when you go into service that way, and you step outside of yourself, and you take down that armor with another human being, that's when things begin to change in your life. And some of you, you're like, well, I can't change this. I can't effectuate this. There's no way I can morph or change. My best friend and my functional nutritionist, Chris Lippe, said to me, we were on a phone call this morning. He's like, Doc, you have changed so much in 7 months since I've known you. And that really got my mind swirling because I thought about how much I've changed in 7 months. But then I think back to when I was 22 and I was doing illegal steroids and a bunch of other stupid stuff for my health and my body and destroying my health. And I was on the road to getting every possible cancer known to man that my family members were getting. And I started this path of healing that some of you are on right now. and some of you are about to get on. And you have friends and family that you're going to tell us about tonight. We're going to save their life, and we're going to get them checked. And I started looking around because I had a breakdown. And when a breakdown happens, you're on the cusp of a transformation. So if you're sitting there right now and maybe you just started care and you've got aches and pains or irritations, or you're sitting there and you got stuff going on and maybe you didn't think it was serious and now you do, and now you're concerned because you realize it's been going on for 10 years, or maybe you're sitting there and you know somebody that I'm describing and talking about, let's step out there outside of ourselves and start leading them towards a transformation, because that blessing is going to come back to you, and that's the way you go into service. Somebody did that for me. And my breakdown was the medications I was taking at 22. That's the part I didn't mention, in addition to the illegal steroids, which you think those up your testosterone, make you depressed and anxious. And now you're taking serotonin reuptake inhibitors, the brain-altering medications on top of that alter dopamine and serotonin. And then you're taking Adderall, that's a class 3 narcotic like cocaine. And you've been doing that for 12 years. And then after you got out of the Marine Corps, you throw in this other cocktail, right? Because you want to be all muscular and buff. And critical mass happened at 22 in Nashville, Tennessee, when I started having heart palpitations, thought for the first time in my life I was going to die, and I had to call the ambulance. And they escorted me to the ER. And the MD just sits over me, he's like, oh, don't worry about it, son. It's just anxiety. And I thought that's why I was taking the medication, was for anxiety. And then a light bulb kind of clicked. And it would be a series of events that would lead me towards another best friend, Dr. Michael Hatrack. He's known as the Miracle Man in the National Football League. One of my best friends. And I would start working with him. And then I started going on mission trips. And I was doing this functional neurological stretching technique. And then I started getting curve corrective care done to my brainstem. I started getting neuro-emotional technique done. Started doing all these things, and things started to add up, right? Where one day I woke up and I just wasn't depressed. I didn't need the drugs anymore. That was over 12 years ago. All these things started just lining up and happening. And that's what's going to happen to you if you allow it to. And then with that, we have a balanced nervous system. We have a balanced nervous system. We have one that works to prevent not only the flu, but as you can see, all these other things too. Now you see detox in here. Notice how the nervous system, and nervous system science is just a reminder for me, but notice how the nervous system was first, and then we got detox second. That's going to be the second thing that I want you to write down related to you keeping your immune system working well and functioning well. Every 6 months, I always recommend that people cleanse their body. There's a lot of cleanses out there, and I'm not trying to bash any of the juice people, okay? I know some people, they've had some great results with juice cleanses, but I also know that I have functional nutritionists on my team that have 20 years of experience, some of them, they used to work for the pharmaceutical companies, and they're like, Doc, people might have these temporary changes related to some of the juices, and they're great, but it's not replenishing the organs. You get that? It's a great flush for your colon, might make you feel good for a couple of weeks. It certainly is healthy for you. I'm not saying that. But if you had to pick a detox or a cleanse to do, we definitely don't want to do an MLM, multi-level marketing company. Guys, no matter how organic they are, or when you go to Vitamin Shop or Jimbo's or Frazier's, and I'm not bashing those people, so many supplements are put out by the pharmaceutical companies, and they're repackaging the stuff. When we're repackaging those, a lot of those are synthetic because they're rolled up and packaged by the pharmaceutical companies. And then you buy it, and then I educate you, and you look on the back of the canister, and what does it say? It says vitamin B as, in parentheses, and then there's another word there. And it says organic, vegan-free, all this stuff, right? And then you call the company and you ask them where the farm is, where they grow these organic, vegetables, and you can hear crickets. Oh, I'm going to transfer you to a supervisor. And when they transfer you to the supervisor, what happens? You get disconnected, right? And that happens several times. You call back and nobody knows, right? Don't you think if that were true that everybody on the staff would be properly trained to answer that question? and to know that? Because don't you think everybody kind of has that question? It's probably the first one that comes out of their mouth, right? With a 75-year-old farm that's certified every month, FDA regulated and organic, standard process, they don't have that problem. Because you can literally go to their farm in Wisconsin and put your hands in the dirt. And Chris Lippe and I were talking about that this past week in our health hack that we did. We were talking about not only the quality of a standard process product, but for some of the vegetarians out there, right, why there's trace amounts of bovine in it and what the power of that bovine is. And I'm not going to go into that in detail. You can check out the health hack, okay? It's on my Facebook page. They always get downloaded. That's another, when you go to the media section, you click on that, there's all the health hacks we've ever done. You got all these tools, man. All these tools that we went to a lot of trouble with Jordan, with my web designer, Ansley, with my marketing lady, Brandy, to give that to you guys so you'd have answers right at your fingertips. And so sometimes I'm not putting you off if I tell you to go to the video. I'm trying to empower you, right? I'm trying to empower you. I want you to do the research on your own. And research is not Google or Wikipedia. Oh, I saw that on Wikipedia, Doc. That's fake news, guys. That's fake news. You want peer-reviewed white paper research. Google Scholar is a really good one. Go to Google Scholar, anything that you need, just type it in. I meant to write down a website for you guys so you could see some other ingredients related to flu shots. If you all, this will be a reason to get you to watch another health hack, right? The health hack from 3 weeks ago on shingles, there's a website I'm going to put. I write it down on my little, I don't know what you call this, my little board there, okay? Go to that website because it gives you all the prescription, like fillers, addendums, and indexes to any shot out there. Okay, I forget what it's called. The insert, that's the name I'm looking for. It gives you literally for any vaccine or medication, but I definitely know shots, literally in alphabetical order. You can look it up and pull it up. Most pharmacists won't give that to you. Medical doctors won't give it to you either. So you can see that I know what I'm talking about. We're backing it up here, okay? So I encourage you to watch that video. So detoxes. When we do a detox, it's important to get that nervous system cleared first neurologically. And then every 6 months, we want to not only cleanse the colon, right? But we want to fill and empty out the liver. We want to get all those organs, right? The thymus, the spleen, all those organs that are immune system based and immune system oriented. We want to give those organs a chance to relax and have a little bit of relief because they're constantly detoxing your body, even of things that you're not aware of, right? Like all the time. Glade plug-it-ins. And we covered this in one of the classes a couple of classes ago, so I'm not going to hash that out. You can watch that class as well. But there's a lot of things you're putting on your skin and your body that aren't beneficial for your body. And there are certain herbs that you need to not only flush those organs, but refill those organs back up. Lorraine's going to do a detox next Thursday. She spent about 2 weeks taking this liver supplement, right, to really get her liver prepared. And then what I'm doing with her is she's going to do meat for about 5 days into the detox. So the reaction that she has won't be as severe. Now, if you're having a reaction, is that normal or abnormal related to a detox? Yeah, because what does a detox mean? You're trying to get stuff out, right? But we want that nervous system working first. Because in order for that detox to work, innate has to be on the job. Okay? Innate has to be on the job. And then when we do that detox, not only do we flush those organs, but there are certain herbs and things that we're going to do to fill them back up. So she spent 2 weeks getting her liver primed. She started to wean off coffee this week, and she'll start on a Thursday so that by Sunday, day 4, when sometimes it can keep you in bed, notice how I said sometimes, or she might be constipated or might have something going on, right? She'll be at home to do it and not at work on a Monday. Does that make sense? And I'm going to start it with her on Thursday too. Okay? I'm going to start it with her. So if you see me eating pumpkin seeds and all that, that's why, right? Because there's a specific plan. There's a whole work booklet for it. It's really good. I recommend people do that from anywhere from 2 to 4 times a year. At least 2. At least 2. And that's just a cancer preventer, guys. It's just like eating organic. It's just like eating organic. But in order for that to work, that's the nerve going to the stomach, right? If that's subluxated and that nerve's being crushed, is that organ in a state of function or dysfunction? Does it matter what herb I'm eating? Does it matter what food I'm eating? No. If that nerve can't assimilate the nutrients, you can eat that stuff all day long. Oh, I ate grass, doc. I do a downward dog and a backward cow every day and I meditate. But the nerve to my stomach is crushed and I have sores all over my body, right? But I'm a carbitarian. I eat carbs all day. Yeah, your body's not assimilating that. So we got to get that innate intelligence moving and working. Okay? So detox. Anybody have any questions so far? Cool. Movement, dry brushing, trampoline. Okay? So movement's always going to be important to the nervous system. Why do you think that is? You're relaxed. After you do a workout or some type of movement, you're relaxed. It's also really good for your bone structure, any type of movement, okay? Especially a weight-bearing movement. But if you're moving, that's going to fuel that dopamine and serotonin. That's why I always advocate interval training, some type of interval walking. It doesn't have to be excessive, guys. It doesn't have to be excessive. Do 30 minutes. Do 1 minute of fast walking, 1 minute of slow walking, and time it. And time it. If you look at your heart rate after that, according to the research, if you do it the right way, it's the same from a calorie standpoint as if you were to run. It's the exact same of what you're going to burn because it's teasing your heart. It's getting your heart up, it's getting your heart down. It's getting your heart up, it's getting your heart down. That's what you constantly want to do. And there's a great workout video, how to do a nervous system center workout that we talk about on the website too. So movement's going to be something we want to do. Dry brushing, okay? Well, one of the things that they talk about, right, all the research says that you want to exfoliate, okay? And there's certain brushes that are good for this. You can go on YouTube, you can look it up, right? Usually some of those wooden brushes with like the yellow soft bristles, kind of medium bristles, you don't want to get like a scrub pad. You guys are going to come in with red welts all over your body. Hey, doc, I've been dry brushing. And you have like red scabs that looks like you were in the sun all day, right? You don't want that happening, okay? So make sure you get the right brush. But I wanted to bring up the subject of dry brushing because exfoliation is great for the immune system. Because what's the largest organ in your body? Your skin. So most of us don't exfoliate enough. My friend Dr. Chris Zano, he's been talking about it for years. Exfoliating through dry brushing. He did a health hack on it, I think, like 2 years ago. Okay, and I had found out about it before, but I watched other doctors' stuff. So we always trade information and stuff. So get on Google, and look up the different types of brushes that you can do to start dry brushing. And it's not a big deal. I mean, it's really quick. This isn't a time-consuming thing. It's not, if you're an analytical person, okay, don't get neurotic on me. Relax, okay? Just get the brush, start doing it. Try to do it on most areas of your body, right? Legs, arms, stuff like that, shoulders, back, okay, just general areas there. And then trampoline. Why do we have trampoline on there? Because anytime you're getting any type of jumping stimulation or vibration, that's going to be great for your nervous system. Why do you think that we have this vibration station over here, this vibration plate? Because what it's doing is it's sending what we call afferent input in through the nervous system by way of the feet. Because some of you might have heard me say the feet are a window into your spine and your neurology. That's why we check the feet when we're finding and detecting the subluxation. But what else did we do to find that subluxation? We did an advanced biostructural digital x-ray, 4 views, and then we scanned your body using this thermal scan. So anywhere where we see color, we went right up the skin, the largest organ. It picked up heat readings. It picked up heat readings on both sides. And when we see that red, green, blue, or black color, we know that organ is in a state of dysfunction because that nerve's in a state of dysfunction. So now we look at your feet, we do a specific scientific corrective adjustment, and then in our process of curve correction, we're going to have you start to do brain retraining and neurological retraining. Because it's like reshaping a sword. Once the blacksmith puts in the force to reshape that sword, he starts to get it hot, he reshapes it, and then he cools it down, right? So the brain retraining process that we do is just like braces on teeth. It retrains the ligaments, gums, and muscles, right? It's retraining the ligaments and muscles in your nervous system or your neck or your spine. Well, braces do the same thing to your teeth. If you had a tooth out of place and I kept taking pliers to move the tooth into place, if I keep doing that and I don't get to the cause, what's the tooth going to keep doing? And stay with me in theory here. it's going to keep going out of place, right? So that's why orthodontists created braces. There's a neurological component to braces because there's thousands of nerves, most predominantly the facial nerve, cranial nerve number 4, maxillary, mandibular, and trigeminal. So when we're working with the curve in your neck, we're putting in that force, reshaping it, cooling it down. That's what our ligasizer technology, and again, that vibration station that you do, which is step 3 out of a 4-step process that we do. After we adjust you according to your curve in your film, you're going to get on this vibration station and start doing certain exercises, and we need that vibration to come up through afferently, through your feet, into your spine, and it says to your brain, oh, get back there. I'm not in the right place. I need to be back here. And it starts slowly relaxing and vibrating your body and getting those discs more lubrication. And so what does your head start to do? Fall further forward or further back? Further back. What does that do? It opens up the spinal cord, gets that cerebral spinal fluid moving, gets that nerve flow moving. At any rate, so we want to do that vibration station. We want to start to retrain that curve, get that curve back, open up that cord so that cerebral spinal fluid can express life. And then what we start to see is that things just start changing in your life. You don't get sick as much. Wow, what a shocker that my brainstem would effectuate a change like that, right? And when you do express health, because I don't call it sick, you're only down, just like Patty Archibald, for a half a day. You stay home. Your loved one feeds you. See, he's so bored, he's just out, knocked out. Paco is knocked out for the count. KO right here, he's snoring, little cutie bear. So yeah, so you're going to do all these things for your nervous system. You're not going to express health as much with the detox and everything else that we did, the dry brushing, the movement, all that. Innate just starts being on the job. That intelligence just starts working. Now, what do we want to look at next? And you can kind of flip the order. I'm not saying one's necessarily more important than the other. This is the most important. That's why I put it first. But then we're going to have to make sure we're doing some keto or paleo-centered diet, okay? And I talk about that in the nutrition workshop that's online, healthfromwithinca.com. And that's free to you guys as a practice member. You just click on the media section, go to advanced healthcare classes, and now there's about a 45-minute to hour-long talk talking about ketogenic and paleo, all right? And there's a great book out there by Dr. Jack Wolfson, okay? And he's a doctor of osteopathy, and his wife is a chiropractor. Amazing couple, power couple in our profession, right? Doing a lot of great things. And so in his book, he's got grocery lists and all that. And he goes a little crazy, okay? Dr. Williams doesn't even go that crazy, all right? I eat as paleo as possible, but I also like to have a good time. I occasionally enjoy a glass of bourbon or a glass of wine. Notice how I said occasionally, right? So he's going to say that the more centered you are and the more strict you are, right? If you've been dysfunctional for 5, 10, 15 years, you can't really like cheat like I'm doing right now, right? This is like we're in the trenches right now. Not only with your nervous system, but these other steps to get you healthy. You've got less cheat room, okay? And then the fifth one is water, clean, non-toxic products, okay? So related to water, water is so important because our body, you guys have heard it a million times, 99% water. So we constantly have to be filling those cells up, right? So that innate can work. The intelligence in your body can work. Notice brainstem first, but then water. That's why I have water in every bay. I'm pounding water all the time. Now, when you have a coffee, you have to drink 2 8-ounce cups of water for every coffee you have. That's 16 ounces of water for every coffee you have. So as long as you understand that, right? So if you weigh $1.05, soaking wet, then all the research says we're going to want at least 50 to 55 ounces of water. So if you drank a cup of coffee that day, now you're up to like 70 ounces of water. And I'm not saying like stress out about it and follow it. I'm not saying to stress out about any of this stuff because stress will kill you too, right? If health is a bucket, chemical, physical, emotional stresses, when that bucket overflows, that's what leads to disease. But what I am saying is be aware of it. Constantly carry a water bottle around with you, okay? that's a way to really allow that innate system to work and allow that innate system to flow. So these are my top 5 main, and we could get all into the science, guys. Honestly, I throw out a couple of research articles to you guys. Sometimes I throw out a little bit more. Sometimes I give outlines. But I don't want to go too research heavy and use too many fancy words, because 80% of the room will be like either sleeping like this guy is, right? Or you won't want to come to another talk because you won't understand any of it, okay? So that's the other reason why we try to simplify it. Did anybody have any questions about what we discussed tonight? Any at all? I want to open this up for questions, and I got a couple of things to talk about, and we'll finish up in about 5 or 10 minutes. Okay. So you want to know about the value of green tea, not coffee. So green tea is great from an antioxidant standpoint. Okay, it's great from an antioxidant standpoint. Very healthy for your body. Okay, of course, got great medicinal benefits. Okay. But a lot of green teas, in fact, I think all green teas are high in caffeine, okay? Now, not the highest. It's not like a black tea, right? But you're going to have a little bit of caffeine there. So now, will you have to drink 2 8-ounce glasses of water to compensate? Is it like coffee in that regard? No. There's some benefits to it. Some people's bodies react differently. I can drink green tea, and because of the low caffeine content of it, I can go right to bed, okay? But that would be the only thing that I would say to necessarily watch out for there. Great for your immune system, though. Since we're on the subject of teas, everybody probably here knows any type of berry is going to be great for the immune system. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, okay? Very good for your immune system. So when I make my shakes every morning, that's predominantly what I'm putting in there, because they're also very low glycemic foods as well. And there's, people have different, there's some research about antioxidants and things of that nature. I'm not going to get into that, like conflicting research about it. I'm not going to get into that tonight. But did I answer your question? Cool. Did anybody else? Go ahead.
Do you recommend against getting the flu shot?
I can't say that, okay? I can't say that. That's one of those sticky situations that when you ask me specifically like that, I have to be careful, because I don't want to practice medicine without a license, and I don't want the Food and Death Administration to come after me. So the way I'll answer that is this. If you were in my family and you were my daughter or my son, little Cordie, I'll put it this way. Little Cordie's never going to get a flu shot. Did that answer your question? Okay, cool. And I hate to be that way with you. It's just I'm on Facebook Live right now. It's getting recorded, all sorts of stuff, and I'm not a medical doctor. Okay, I'm a holistic doctor. I'm a primary care physician in the state of California. Spent 10 years in school. My credentials are the same as a medical doctor, except without the pharmacology element, which I'm very proud of, and obviously pursued purposely, because I didn't want to sell death in a bottle to people, okay? But, which by the way, in saying that, there is a time for medical care. Medical care saves thousands of lives every year. Kills a lot of them too. So it's great for emergency room care, but it's not great for rebuilding health. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question? Cool. Yeah, go ahead, brother. I like questions.
When you say dry brushing, do you mean like removing like the top layer of your skin somewhat?
Yeah. And it's not, my wife and I did it for a long time, and then it just kind of faded away for us because we do so many other things like related to our health. We constantly get NET'd, we're constantly getting adjusted, we do an organic lifestyle, like all sorts of stuff. So it kind of faded away for us. But when we were doing it, we had a very medium brush. It wasn't like, it's not like those scrub brushes that they sell at I don't know, any health foods place or Jimbo's or something like that. And the bristles are kind of hard and you kind of push it and you're like, man, I could scrub my bathtub with this, right? It's not like that. It's somewhere in the middle. It's not so soft where it's like a brush that you're going to do with your hair. But it's almost like, when we used to do it, it's almost like you're just stroking the skin. You're not like scrubbing it, okay? You're just lightly brushing it. And there's a lot of great videos, and I didn't go into too much detail because we had a lot to cover tonight, but you're just lightly brushing it, like literally brushing it. Soft kind of strokes is what I would say related to that. Did I answer your question? He woke up. I think we woke him up. Hopefully he won't get mad at us.
Detox?
Yeah. How does the body detox? Yeah. So the body detox is because whenever you get this putrefaction that Miss Woods was talking about back there, not that she's old, she's actually just turned 24, But Miss Woods was talking about the putrefaction that occurs in the stomach. What happens is there are specific herbs that Standard Process has put together, and what they've designed within their protocols is a way for your body to eat a diet that your body doesn't have to work as hard to process. So for 21 days, they've got this systematized research protocol where you start out with a certain amount of food that you're taking in and certain foods that you're taking in, certain foods you're excluding, and then there's herbs that are going to pull certain things out of the body that are unbeneficial or not beneficial to the body. It's going to pull out certain toxins. And then there's a certain supplementation regime, like good nutritious food, that then you're putting back into the system. So, see, nutrient foods now, like nutrient-dense foods, like foods in general, have 50% less nutritional value than they did even 20 years ago. So when we talk about subluxation support or supplementation, one, notice the word supplement. It's supplemental. You don't go out and eat McDonald's and then take supplements. That's not the way it works, right? But with supplementation, understand you're getting 5, 10 times, 15, 20 times the dosage of a particular herb or a particular nutrient, and that would be impossible to get that much food, right? Unless you ate, I always use this example, 200 pounds of kale or beets or even liver. I don't even want to touch liver. I mean, you could strap me down and waterboard me, and I'm not going to touch liver. Okay, there's like no way. I was like, some of you, I have Vicky's face is like the way I was with liver. I would roll. My dad would make me sit at the dinner table, and he would make me stay there. And so what I would do is I would like make rounds to the bathroom. He probably thought I had diarrhea or something. I would roll it into a paper towel underneath. He'd make me stay there for like 5 hours, and I would go and flush it till the whole plate. Oh, he's like, you finally finished it 5 hours later. And I'm like, yeah, because you weren't looking. I was taking it to the toilet, right? But I can't smell any pate, anything with liver. I just want to, things start to come up, right? So what we're doing is we're basically draining out all the toxins out of the liver, thymus, spleen, certain organs, right? And then we're replenishing the body with positive food and really nutrient-dense food that's in the form of a capsule, and it's not synthetic. So all these other companies that don't have farms, what are they doing? Well, one, it'll have maybe 20% of a nutrient, and then it'll be these chemical fillers. And then you're taking it and you're putting carcinogens into your body. You get that? Or there's not enough nutrient denseness to the product to actually effectuate a change. So you take the supplement, you think all supplements are a farce, you say they don't work, and what do? You turn back to medications. Does that make sense? Any more questions for anybody? Great questions. Really, really appreciate it. I'm sure everybody else learned something as well. That's the way questions always are. Anybody else? I got a couple of things to cover. I'm sorry if I went long tonight. Didn't mean to. Oh, go ahead. Miss Lorraine has a question. Well, we got good time. We're only at 8:13, guys. Stick with my promise, and we even started late.
You mentioned stretching earlier.
Yeah.
What kind of stretching do you suggest?
Yeah, so most stretches are passive. Okay, most stretching is passive. So like you think about where you took your heel to your butt when you were a kid, or you did a downward dog, or you did this number, right? All that is laying down more scar tissue. When one of my best friends, when I used to work with him, Dr. Michael Hatrack, okay, and we worked on Heinz Ward and Brian Westbrook and all these athletes, and he's still working on tons of them. The guys, I just had his Super Bowl ring on the other day when I was with him in Atlanta. I'm so proud of him. A great guy, Christian guy, just amazing dude, amazing human being. But we used to do something called functional neurological stretching. And what it does is it takes the muscle from the shortest point to the longest point with a contraction, okay? And it works with the nervous system instead of against it. Because what happens is when a nerve is not turned on, like the PTs kind of think that if a nerve's not turned on, strengthen it. Well, if you've got an arm like this and you've got frozen shoulder, and I try to strengthen the back muscles, does anybody right off the bat see a problem with the muscles in the back here? If I'm trying to strengthen them, what can they not do? What's that? They can't move, so what you're trying to say, beautiful Ben, is they can't shorten. So what Ben said is they can't move. They can't shorten. So I can try to strengthen them as long as I want, but those nerves aren't activated to move that shoulder back. Doesn't it make sense to work with the neurology first, work with the curve in the brainstem, and get that neurology right first, and then add in some type of stretching? Kind of makes sense, right? So basically what I'm telling all you, and that's a great question, Lorraine, she said, what type of stretching do you recommend? If you're doing these other stretches that don't have an active contraction, you're sending the muscle into trauma. You're laying down scar tissue. So instead of doing that, let's just get the neurology right. And then if you need some type of stretching, we'll add that in later down the road. And we have all these online video modules that allow you to do that. I'm about to add some more of them pretty soon. Probably another 10, 13, 20, I don't know. And why is that? Because I want you to have stuff, lifestyle information of what to do at home so you can be empowered. Because this is a partnership. This is a partnership. Any other questions? Did I answer your question? Yeah. And you'll get more of that. You're not at the place in your care right now where we're moving to that, but you will be. Some people never are there, right? Just because they just have something different going on. It's not, they're not at the point where it would work for them. Okay? But 9 times out of 10, most people, I give them something to do at home because it's going to help that curve and it's going to help that neurology. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to talk about a couple of quick things here. All right? We talked about what happens if you have dysfunction and how when there's dysfunction in your body and innate's not working, how you might not know it. Okay? So if there's somebody that you thought of during the talk tonight, there's a couple of ways for us to reach out to them. The first way is you can schedule them an appointment tonight. We're allowing anybody that's here tonight that hasn't been checked, they're going to get checked for free. Well, what does that include? Well, it's a $350 value. What it allows you to do, you're going to come in, we're going to do this diagnostic thermal scan on you, and then we're going to take 4 views in and around your spinal cord and your brainstem. Anybody you know tonight, what I'll do is instead of them paying $350 to get checked, they'll only pay a $40 administrative fee. If you schedule them tonight, okay, that's the deal. And if you want to get checked, you schedule the night with Chevy. Okay, we can get you in as early as tomorrow. All right? The other thing that you can do if you know of somebody that's not here is we have a gift card program. And I can talk to you about that off camera. Okay, God bless you. Thank you so much. We'll see you next month. Wait around just a second for the calendars. Have a great night.
But the voice of truth tells me a different story. I will choose to listen and